17 other big cities have now got people that are so-called funding this movement. Big protests are taking place. I want you to look at this. This was an emergency alert sent out, and this was sent to me, that they're already sending out emergency alerts to several of these areas. LAPD sent one out to Los Angeles. And these things, you know, they come across your cell phone. You can't control it. It's just these big alert systems. You can't tell me things are getting actually better in these places. Also, 17 other cities are now projected to start these riots. Already 3 or 4 are starting up. Saw it in Dallas, Austin, Asheville, North Carolina. These liberal cities are falling to pieces. Also, we're going to talk about a problem Walmart has. Because guess what? When they're pushing USA, they want to made in USA stuff. They want to support the movement of our local economy. Well, you're going to see an article that was just shared that showed that one of the Walton children are sponsoring one of these protests. Do they really love America if they're sponsoring it? Also, are we seeing truly a color revolution? I think Glenn Beck said it best. He says, you know, you see these Palestinians, you see these Gazans, then you see all of a sudden the pride, and then all of a sudden you see the Mexican flag. He said, we've just seen a hodgepodge of a lot of funded people. They said some people were funded and had ads of $12,500 on Craigslist to protest. Who is paying $12,500 a day for these people to protest? No wonder they're going out there and acting a fool. They're getting paid $12,500. We're going to discuss that all today. Then we're going to talk about defending our home. We're going to talk about a list of 10 things that you need to prepare for civil unrest and when the crap hits the fan, especially if you're living in these areas that they're pushing these protests. I'm going to show you a map of that as well. Let's dive into these stories today. This video starts right now. Hey guys, welcome to the Max. Thank you so very much for being here on this lovely day in South Mississippi, right next to the Gulf of America. Guys, we thank you so much for being here. And again, we humbly ask that you subscribe to the channel. Give us a thumbs up if you like the content of today's video. Now let's talk about the situation. We talked June 14th, and you know that video really got held back yesterday. But over the last few days, we've been trying to build up this story that we are seeing anarchy and civil unrest in our streets. Well, part of that is the reason that's why we prepare. That's why we want to make sure that we're ready. We're going to talk about 10 things that we should be purchasing. But first, let's just talk about some of these things. Walmart. Now, Walmart's been pushing USA, USA, USA. I mean, really, they've really tried to promote things that they were going to do better, like the tariff situation and all this stuff with Trump. Well, let's just look at this article. I want to show you this right quick. One of the No Kings protests, which is anti-protest against Trump, or basically anti-Trump protest, sorry. It says, No Kings June 14th mobilization. We the people, principles, honors, blah, 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 all this junk. It leaves a scanning code down there, but I want you to look at this right here. The very bottom of this was sent to me. Look at that. Paid for by Christy Walton. Did you hear what I said? So Walmart's got a big problem. It's because a lot of these people that are wanting, America first with the USA, and the CEO of Walmart's coming out saying he's going to support the Trump measures and American economy. How is he supporting that when one of the founders, who is one of the biggest shareholders still in the company, actually paying for opposition? I mean, paying for destruction of cities. Do you realize that now? These No King protest situations will literally turn into absolute riots. I want you to look at this right here. It says, insurrection. This is why former managing director of BlackRock and the president of the teachers union, which is Randy Weingarten, is organizing nationwide protests during the Army celebration. This is the event that basically these NGOs and the Democrats are pushing in the cities. Now, this is them standing in front of the map of all these hotbeds that they're going to push in across America. Now, they're saying that they're going to have 200 left-leaning protests. And here's another map. I showed you this yesterday. Look at that map. You see all those red dots? That is actually paid for places that they're going to have protests. Now, that should scare the mess out of you, because there's not one state in the union, even the most conservative states, there's not one state in the union that does not have some kind of protest going on, especially in these hotbed liberal areas. That is called the Antifa Sabotage Map. There's already been a permit approved in Asheville. So you have to get permitting to protest and burn the city out, and the city allowed it. The city is going to give them rights to, let's just tear it all up. Guess what else? The Mexican leader there, she came out and said that she will not be pushed around, and she is going to support the Mexicans staying in America. And she wants to make sure that whatever they need, they can have. Basically, what she was doing was almost declaring war on America. I love it when all these people are waving these flags. I'm like, you're waving your heritage flag, so why are you in America and not Mexico? It's amazing how all of a sudden the Mexicans believe with the pride, and the pride believes with the Palestinians, all that's just one big hodgepodge, and actually what it is just paid for protesters. When would Antifa get along with the Latinos? When would the Latinos, who are mostly religious, I mean, when it comes to Mexico, they're very Catholic, when would they get along with the pride flags and also the people standing against biblical areas in the Middle East? They wouldn't unless they're paid for, and truly they'll support whatever. As long as you just pay them, they don't care. That's actually what's happening. I got this email from a gentleman who watches our content. I want you to listen to what he said. His name is David. We'll leave it like that. These 17 American cities will become active war zones with the insurrection escalating. And he was taking this from an article, but I thought it was really good what he said. I mean, I really do. And sometimes this guy agrees with him, sometimes he doesn't. But I love what he says. He says, started in LA, now active. The summer will be intense. And if the grid collapse, which very well could, imagine these riots will expand in days and every night with no electricity. When the food runs out, freezers spoil, what are we going to do? The 17 cities, New York City, LA, Chicago, Philadelphia, Washington, D.C., Houston, Nashville, New Orleans, Charlotte, San Francisco, Detroit, Seattle, Atlanta, Las Vegas, Baltimore, Boston, Miami, and San Antonio and Austin. Only one of those cities actually is got Republican leadership in it, and that's Miami. And again, if you really know Juarez or Suarez, whatever his name is, he's really more of a liberal anyway. The reason I want to bring this up is all these cities are led by people who are condoning this. Every one of these people are allowing ordinances to cover these protests. Now, if you remember, one of those was Seattle. Seattle literally threw shade on a Christian group trying to have worship the other day. But then they actively are allowing these protests to take place, which will ultimately cause destruction and problems for this place. So let's go back to it. So now we have Walmart fighting against us. We have our city governments and our state governments that are liberal fighting against us. The teachers union is coming out fighting against us. So why is your children in public school? The Mexican president who wants open borders is now fighting against us. What have we actually proven? And here's what you don't realize. Guess what else just took place? Agro-terrorism. You know, the other day when I told you that this Chinese Michigan couple brought in this problem that was going to cause issues. It was a spore, basically, and that pathological problem could cause problems for livestock and all this stuff. Remember that? Remember we were talking about July 4th? Well, while we've been distracted with all this going on, guess what else just happened? Breaking, another Chinese scientist arrested in Detroit this time, trying to smuggle in another biological material into the U.S. U.S. arrest another Chinese smuggler. You realize if these worms, these spores, these things that they're bringing in get into our crops, there will be no food. These pathogens will eat away at our food. So let's go back to what that guy just said. What if all of a sudden blackouts happen? Do you realize the PVM grid that runs most of the Midwest, the Northeast and the Midwest going into the Pennsylvania, Ohio area, came out and said that there will probably be grid collapses or blackouts and brownouts in that area because of the heat wave in the summer, because their grid cannot handle it. California's grid cannot handle it. Texas has said because of some of the dangers with the storms they had over the winter, that their grid will be in a very, very vulnerable situation this summer. Remember, we talked about a lot of these cities that are in these areas. And now we talk about biological warfare with the fact that our food system may be completely ruined. I want to share something else with you. And this should, again, scare the mess out of you, because of if you're dependent on the food system, if you're dependent on these cities and you're not raising your own food, listen to this. This is from More Perfect Union, which is a complete and utter liberal think tank. But I want you to listen to what they said, because this is the news part of it. Massive supermarket strike is brewing, with 150,000 workers moving towards a walkout. 56,000 workers in Washington, Idaho, and Oregon have voted to authorize strikes in the Albertsons and the Krogers. Grocery workers across Colorado have also authorized a strike. There will be more coming, and it will devastate the supermarkets. It will devastate the supermarkets. If you don't have workers, you don't have goods coming in. If you don't have goods coming in, you don't go shopping at these stores. And most of these liberal areas have locked up their groceries because of the dangers of these kind of riots and protests. So we've talked so far about Walmart hating us and big business who says they're going to promote us, but actually they're paying for the insurrections. Literally, there is bricks and gas masks showing up just randomly on the streets, brand new stuff, hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of stuff that's all of a sudden just arriving in these cities for chaos. Listen, I want you to understand something. Chaos brings control. Now you can say, well, Trump is sending in troops. That's not what we're talking about. When you have chaos in these cities, it allows for these liberal governments to stand in and say, well, look at all this. And so Gavin Newsom now has like a talking head of saying, well, you could just arrest me. Knowing he's not going to get arrested. He's just trying to build it for his political ambitions. But what did chaos cause in 2020? It calls for lockdowns. It calls for control. It calls for new laws and new regulations. Don't ever believe that we have not gone for the Agenda 2030 still. It's still happening right before your eyes. We have spores and special worms that are coming in that could cause literally damage to all crops in America. Pure famine. We have grocery stores saying they are going on strike in at least 4 states so far. 150,000 workers. We literally have 17 cities that have paid for protests, that have already signed the agreements to allow for the cities to condone this to take place, to tear up the cities. And now we have over 200 nationwide protests that is paid for by the NGOs, funded by the Public Education and BlackRock. Now, that's a lot at you. So when you say, I'm safe, I don't live next to Los Angeles. I'm safe, I don't live next to New York. I bet you live closer to those 200 protest cities that's been paid for. I bet you do shop at Walmart. I bet you do shop at Kroger or Albertsons. I bet you do depend on some farmer to grow your food. Well, if all of a sudden biological warfare takes place, what are you going to do? I bet you are dependent on the grid, aren't you? I am. I mean, we have the grid. Yes, we have solar, but I mean, we do have a grid, don't we? And we want our house to work. So civil unrest is coming because they're going to do everything they can to stop the Trump administration from doing things that actually brings awareness to America, to make America important and first again in our lives. We're going to keep on seeing these civil unrest in these cities. The crap is hitting the fan, people. Come on. Now let's talk about the 10 things that you should be purchasing. Number 1, you need to have some kind of safety and security on your doors and windows. You need to have locks, chains, or as simple as a double lock. Like if you have one single lock, let's put a second chain on there. Let's put a second crossbar on there. We have these U-hinges. They bolt right there into the wall, and basically you just put a 2x4 in there. If you, this is not a sponsored video, but if you remember the Doracade, the Doracade.com, go check it out. It's the same principle. It literally takes like 6 screws, and you've got that same thing put in, and it is a great investment to put on your doors. People cannot access your doors and your windows. We have security screens. That's a big investment. So if you don't want to buy security screens, they make anti-glass breaking film. You can buy it on Amazon. Now, is that going to hinder someone from breaking in over time? No, but it's going to give you a little bit more time to either defend your home or to get out. So you need to buy chains. You need to buy extra door and window protection. Number 2, if you remember, if you've been watching our vlog channels and you heard that alarm going off, we talked about it a little bit in this video about 2 or 3 days ago. Those alarms are dirt cheap. They're LED alarms that has a sensor on it that is so, it just shrieks, and it's so loud. We bought those for literally like $8 or $9. We bought like 10 of them. I have those inconspicuously across our property because guess what? If I see a red flashing light across 30 acres, I know there's something happening over there. If I hear those sirens go off, I know there's something happening. So we have those red alert lights all over our property. Also, we have hunting cameras all over our property. So we put these little security cameras and hunting cameras. Now you can buy the solar version of a hunting camera, or you can buy a solar motion camera. Both of those are on Amazon. You can pick those up online just about anywhere. They're like 70 to 80 bucks. That way you know if someone's coming around your property, you can access it from your phone. Number 4, what about putting hedge bushes, privacy hedges that are very, very prickly? We put blackberries, roses, and we also put certain kind of hedges like holly bushes all around our windows and around our property. Why do we do that? Oh, it may be pretty, and yes, we can eat the things like the rose buds, and we can have the rose buds to make medicinal benefits. We can have the blackberries to enjoy, but there's a double purpose there. They're heavily thorned, and we put those in safe areas. So if you have windows that you can't, guard, and you have places that you can't protect, what about planting things that have thorns on them? Because I promise you, that will help keep people away. Number 5, what about a dog? I know we love our dogs and we want them to work for us and we want them to be companions, but ultimately studies show that 65% of homes with dogs that are barking would deter a thief from breaking in. If you have a dog that can protect you or at least cause problems for someone trying to break in, or if they hear a dog, that may make a difference. The reason I keep my dogs outside and they're right there by my door, is because if any car or any person comes up, man, they are going to let me know. Now, honestly, would they, cause, mischief, or would they bite someone? Probably not. But they do it as an alarm system for me to know I may need to go look out my door. I may need to go see what's going on. Number 6, having satellite phones and satellite radios, but also satellite internet. Those things help you if all of a sudden a grid goes down. It helps you keep some form of communication coming in. If you're in one of these cities with major unrest, don't you want to know what's going on? So radio, a cell phone that's a sat phone, or at least satellite capabilities, or at least satellite internet would allow you to have that no matter if someone cut the power. Like I told you about a movie I've been watching, and this mayor was corrupt. He was like a bad guy. And he cut the power to the town, and what he said, it was just a blackout. But it calls for civil unrest. What that civil unrest calls for is he just basically flipped the breaker back on, but it was basically him saying, well, the grid was down. So it allowed for us to go in for police state and martial law to protect the people. Actually, what he was doing was learning to control the people and wrangle those people up. He said a lot of people, the whole point of the movie was a lot of people didn't know what was going on. They didn't know who was actually the good guys or the bad guys anymore. So communication is key. So do you have a CB? Do you have a radio? Do you have a sat phone? Do you have satellite internet? Do you have some kind of communication that is not dependent on the grid? You need to make sure you have that. Next, what about solar generation? We kind of hit on that a while ago. I've got a new company that sent us a solar generator. We're going to be practicing out, see if it's actually doing what it's supposed to do. If so, we'll talk about it in the company. But to be honest with you, we have Opus, we have Blue Eddy, we have Pecron, we have this new company that we're going to be talking about. The whole purpose is this. It's not the fact that you have to buy from one of these companies. The fact is you need to have some kind of alternative energy source to protect your doors, to run your cameras, to make sure that you can charge up your communication devices so you can see what's going on in the world around you. My house is truly like a fortress. We've built it that way. We've got double locks, triple locks. We've got animals. We've got security screens. We've got shutters, wood shutters. We've got it all. But if we don't know what's going on, when we step out the door, how dangerous could it be? Now, it may not be dangerous from me here in little old Mississippi, but what if you're sitting in the suburbs of Atlanta, the suburbs of Houston, the suburbs of Los Angeles, the suburbs of Seattle? It's a pretty big deal, isn't it? So make sure that you have those things taken care of. Number 8, I'll be honest with you, I believe you need safety and security, and that means defense. A few things of defense. Have you thought about just buying some protection for yourself? Some armor. We had some friends at AT Armor, again, not sponsored video, but have you thought about just buying some safety measures? I mean, your rioters and protesters are getting supplied certain munitions and defense, certain shields, certain armor. If they're getting supplied that means you may need to have some too. When you think I'm crazy, pay attention to what these people have on. Have you seen some of the police getting beat slap up? And they're the ones with the stuff to keep them safe, and they're still getting hurt. The National Guard, when you see people going after the National Guard and going after Marines and they're supposedly American citizens, that's a problem. crap has hit the fan. They also started putting moratoriums and curfews in. My local town even has a curfew because of some of the violence that's been happening in certain parts of the town. So when you think about those kind of things, that means it's getting serious. So having some kind of cover protecting is not bad for you. You do it for your home, don't you? I mean, we do it with shelters for animals, don't we? So why don't we protect ourselves and make sure that we're protecting our body? Again, it's getting provided by the NGOs and by the protesters, so why in the world are we not doing the same thing? Number 9, what about self-defense? Have you stockpiled like I told you? Remember, they're not taking up, the Supreme Court is not taking up the orders to get rid of these liberal towns' ideologies on magazines and on brass. If you remember the projectiles and self-defense when it comes to 2A rights. Why are you not purchasing this kind of stuff? Think about it. You know, most towns, if they don't have some kind of feed store that has a 2A rights section, Walmart is the place for that. Well, if all of a sudden Walmart is funding the other side, and they say Walmart's not, well, yeah, but one of its main shareholders is. What if all of a sudden they do like 2020 and start locking up seeds, but not only locking up seeds, locking up self-defense? And all of a sudden you don't have the things to defend your home. Your home is a sitting duck. All of us are sitting duck unless we can learn to protect it. Well, if someone's coming with rioting gear, paid for things, bricks, and we have nothing to defend ourselves, we have no protection on, we have not protected our home, we don't have the dog to protect us, what are you to do? You're going to sit there and allow them to take whatever they want. It's a pretty big deal. Make sure you have self-defense. Number 10, last one, food and water. That's an easy one, huh? Kobe, why is that not number 1? Well, to be honest with you, as easy as it sounds, people are so stupid because they believe they can just go to Walmart every day and be okay. This is from Freedom News. This is actually people rating. Now I'll show you this video right there. See that? Those people are rioting. Oh, no, wait, no. They're not rioting. They're actually literally looting the stores. So this is what happens. This kind of protest condones for people to come in and actually protest, quote unquote protest. What they're actually doing is tearing up the cities and then allowing for thousands of people to loot these stores. So when you think about protection and safety, and you think about having food and water, if you live in close to these cities and these suburbs, are you just going to be like, yeah, you know what? I forgot my macaroni and cheese today. I need some hamburger meat. I need a little milk. I'm just going to run to the store and grab some. I mean, don't mind me, you looters. Don't mind me, all you people that's burning the cars out in the front. I'm just going in the local Walmart or Target to get a few things. Come on. These 10 things you've got to have. We have literally supermarkets having strikes. We have biological warfare, what they call agro-terrorism. Look it up. It is happening right before us. What that means is famine. There won't be a point of a farmer because they won't be able to grow anything if all of a sudden spores from these certain mushrooms or spores from these certain worms or some kind of problem that they've mutated is causing issues. I love using movie scenarios to talk about things. Did y'all see the last of the Jurassic Parks? I think it was like Fallen Kingdom. I can't remember. I don't care about the Jurassic Parks. Forget the T-Rex. But there was something in there. They made this crop. That this crop was completely like our corn and soy and wheat now. That's so modified, so engineered. And it was being done by this big player. The point of it then was they built a cicada. They built an insect through the biological engineering to where it would not hurt their crop, but it would hurt everybody else's crop. Now that sounded stupid, didn't it? Because it had a T-Rex in it and this big dinosaur. Do you realize what these Chinese scientists are doing? They're doing just that. Do you realize what Bill Gates is doing with his bioengineered seeds? Do you realize what they're doing with these sick cows and all of a sudden the situation with biological warfare and all of a sudden you have to buy from this one source and this one source is owned by the biggest players? We laughed at it because it had a T-Rex in the movie, but the whole point was they built a crop that was engineered and then they built an insect, a spore. This second set of Chinese spies, Chinese scientists, quote-unquote scientists, came in, was with a worm that could literally destroy crops all over America. The first one was spores that could cause basically a problem basically how this mushroom and the spore grew. It could destroy croplands and kill animals, livestock. There's a new study out that says that some random tick-borne new illness is starting to absolutely kill animals and destroy crops. And we laughed at Jurassic Park when they talked about modifying and engineering food and then insects that could only destroy certain foods and leave the other ones alone. Pay attention. A lot is going on. Civil unrest is taking place. The crap has hit the fan, guys. It's not a scaring point. I mean, look at, one more time now. One more time. Let's look at this map. This is the map. This is the map they're sending out. That's from Antifa. Look, this is from Randy Weingarten, the former public school union boss, along with the former BlackRock head. One of the former BlackRock heads that's on the board. Look at this. All those blue dots are the little ones. The big red dots are the big ones. And every one of them are funded by NGOs, non-government organizations. Guess what? That's part of the stuff that these activist judges and these Democrat and rhinos still want to fund that Trump and Elon tried to cut. The NGOs, those NGOs. So you're paying for the cities to be built. You're paying for the destruction of the cities, and then you're going to pay for the rebuilding of the cities with your tax dollars while they hold other people's flags up. You better buy these 10 things right now. Civil unrest is taking place. Guys, let me know your thoughts on today's video. Are you mad at Walmart or the Waltons? Are you upset with the cities because they're allowing this to take place? Ultimately, what this proves is you and your family have to learn to take care of yourself and be independent. Now, spiritually, I challenge you, you better seek Christ and start praying for our nation. Our nation needs revival and awakening, and the only person that can give us that is Jesus. Guys, thank you for watching. God bless.